back. One of the most visible faces in the Trump administration thus far has been Attorney General Pam Bondi, the one-time Trump impeachment defense attorney, now has the president's ear and the entire resources of the DOJ at her disposal. This comes as the Supreme Court deals the White House some major legal victories. So let's talk about this and more with attorney and legal commentator Michael J. Stern, who's up late with me tonight here on the Final Five. First of all, thanks for joining us tonight. I really appreciate you taking some time.
My pleasure.
Okay, I want to talk about Pam Bondi here because, again, she was not the first choice for the job. That, of course, was another Floridian, Matt Gaetz, that was quickly scuttled here. It seems as though, as Attorney General, whether you like her or don't like her, she is there doing what President Trump nominated her and wanted her there in the position for.
Well, you can't dispute that she's doing what Trump nominated her for, which is essentially to create a private law firm with the Department of Justice in order to support Donald Trump and the philosophies that he wants to spread across the country. But that isn't what DOJ is supposed to be doing. DOJ is supposed to be investigating criminal activities and acting with integrity and not politicizing an agency that for decades, and certainly during my 25 years with the Department of Justice, acted with the utmost integrity in their investigations and their prosecutions.
Is this a matter of her? I guess there's always the question about qualifications for the job, but there's also the fact that, as mentioned, she worked for President Trump in one of his impeachment trials out there. Is this just a matter of kind of getting repaid for those services? Is she qualified to be Attorney General of the United States?
You know, that's an interesting question, because I think that if she hadn't politicized the Department of Justice as she has, and if she hadn't made the decision, the personal decision and the professional decision to essentially do whatever Donald Trump wanted her to do, become an agent of Donald Trump, she may very well have been qualified because she was the Attorney General of Florida. But her fealty to Donald Trump didn't begin just with her representing him personally in the first impeachment proceeding. I think it began in 2013 when she was the Attorney General in Florida. I don't know if people remember this, but there was a scandal related to it. Pam Bondi was received from a Trump Foundation donation to a PAC that was connected to Pam Bondi that would have supported her 2014 election bid to become AG again. $25,000. Trump essentially donated to $25,000 to Pam Bondi, and then very shortly after that, about a month later, the Attorney General of Florida, Pam Bondi, made the decision not to proceed with an investigation against Donald Trump for fraud for the Trump University scandal that a lot of different states proceeded against him on.
As mentioned on Friday, there were some Supreme Court decisions that came down, and many of them were a big legal victory for the Trump White House. One of them was this limit on nationwide injunctions. And as AG, she's going to coordinate with the administration to implement a lot of these policies that could be affected one way or another. She said that it removed rogue judges, her words, from halting Trump policies nationwide. Have we seen an attorney general have this sort of commentary about the judiciary in the past?
No, I don't think we've seen anyone as explicit at this. Certainly attorneys general in the past have been unhappy when an individual judge in a particular state creates an injunction that stops application of a presidential, a presidential program or a presidential priority that the president wants. That's happened for both Republican and Democratic administrations. But the type of attacks that Pam Bondi has made on the judiciary, the type of attacks that Trump has made in concert with Pam Bondi on the judiciary is a scary proposition, because what they're trying to do is undercut the authority of the federal courts. And in some ways, they're succeeding in doing that.
Just about out of time. I want to ask you something that happened overnight when the Attorney General was quite critical of media outlets about an app called ICE Block. This is an app for anonymously reporting ICE sightings. She's been criticizing it. She says, you cannot dox, we're finding you. People don't think that we can find out we're finding you. What message is that sending? I mean, does she have a point there when you're talking about carrying out law enforcement raids like these ICE crackdowns, or is she coming out of nowhere with criticism like that?
Listen, unless there's a First Amendment within the United States that allows people to transmit information, even if the government doesn't like that. And that would include information about where ICE is going. It's all public information. There's no allegation on Pam Bondi's part that there's some type of leak within the administration or there's some type of illegal hacking. So I understand why she would be unhappy with it. I worked in law enforcement for 28 years, 25 years of which was with DOJ. I would not want people to be able to find me or the agents that I work closely with. But the reality is that, you know, if there's nothing being done illegally to obtain the information and transmit it, she doesn't have a case.
Yeah. Hey, Michael J. Stern, I appreciate the time tonight. Thanks for the perspective.
My pleasure, Jim.
And the Final Five is back after this.